July 3rd, show number 145. Welcome to another edition of Sultry Radio in the Raw. I'm your host, Michael Lewis Ingram, DJ Honeycomb, and as always, it is good to have you in the house on this day before Chinese flags place and fly before American citizens hither and yon. Sultry Radio in the Raw, sponsored by the Black Athlete Sports Network, CEO Roland Rogers in loving memory, our colleagues at Blog Talk Radio, our friends and colleagues at WCLM 1450 AM, the soul of Richmond, Virginia. Yes, indeed, Cowboy Reggie will saddle up later on, as well as our colleagues at WUFO 1080 AM, The Mix in Buffalo, New York, Western New York being represented well by the mighty Oba, Pat Freeman, and what his efforts are in trying to make sure that citizens of Western New York are treated fairly and jobs come in through the new stadium project. Mm-hmm. Our friends at Guardian Capsuling and Hansen and Mike Feely trying to make sure it's a safe playing ground there for adults of all ages and and children of all ages, I should say. And our friends and colleagues at the Anthony Johnson Show. Brother Johnson is running at the same time frame where we are, so I say that those who may be so inclined to want to flip to his show and flip back to mine, feel free. We are grateful to Brother Johnson for his efforts for us, and we will collaborate on a mutual project in the very near future. But for now, it's things and stuff and things to get to right before the 4th. So, of course, with me as always, riding shotgun, Mr. Biggs himself, Gary Norris Gray. What's up, G?
What's up?
Indeed, my brother.
Good
Hanging on.
There's a recent media thing that we need to talk about. Roger Goodell.
Yep.
And the recent arrest of NFL players, another one today.
Oh, yeah.
In San Francisco. For a player throwing a beer can at another player.
Oh, yeah, Ahmad Brooks.
Yeah. This is becoming media overblown or media hype. And because minority players against minority, I see the media play a minority game once again. And we need to go on it.
Well, brother, we got that on our menu this evening, and our friend and colleague from JCE TV, Patrick Farrar, will be swinging in a few minutes to further extrapolate on that. But since you brought it up, let me run down the menu very quickly. On Turntable One, Invasion of the Vaginas. Not science fiction, y'all. There's some Dick Dastardly mofos that have been stepping up their efforts to eliminate abortion and a woman's right to choose and further terrorize women via invasive ultrasound. And we may have some of the queens check in to throw their 2 cents into the pot on that. On Turntable 2, a remix on Side A, remaking Harlem Nights. You remember Harlem Nights, G?
I didn't see that movie.
With Eddie Murphy and Red Fox?
I never saw that movie.
Oh, you're in for a treat, brother. You're going to have to watch that bad boy. Well, anyway, we want to know if LeBron and his crew have emerged as the new Quick and characters that were in the movie that was depicted. And there's a method to our madness. We'll further bring that up as we carry on here. Also in the mix, on the menu here, we have on Turntable 3, Murder in the First, referring to what you just talked about, 2 NFL players arrested on murder charges, and the third one, Ahmad Brooks, recently arrested. Now, Side B, we've been teasing this for a while now. This was called On Behalf of the Family, and it's the real reason why Tebow was traded to New England. Now, we'll bring that up when Patrick Farrar jumps in. But in addition to all of this now, we're going to attack because we have on the line with us, as always, the Queen of Mount Airy. She is not a shy, retiring young thing when it comes to speaking her mind. She's a bad sister, Sonic Cheryl herself. What's cooking, Cheryl?
Hey, guys. Hi, everybody.
What's up, sweetie? Now, Cheryl,
Yes.
it's almost as if I don't have to set this up, but I'm sure you've been keeping an eye on what's been going on down in Texas with that Dick Dastardly son of a bitch, Rick Perry, trying to close down almost all of their abortion centers. And regardless of how you feel about abortion, it still comes down to a woman's right to choose. Now, Wendy Davis, a state senator, filibustered for 13 hours and managed to fight it off, only to have them go right back at them again. And as Texas was doing this, apparently Virginia and Ohio have tried to slip in, or North Carolina, I believe, as well. I think Professor Fred will confirm as he comes in later. They've tried to confirm also trying to crack down on establishing new legislation regarding invasive ultrasound. Now, we're not qualified to talk about that as well as you would be, so please, it's your floor, darling.
Okay, invasive ultrasound. Ultrasound is not invasive. So where did they get it from? Yes, you have to have a vaginal ultrasound, but they're not very uncomfortable. Okay. And
they're trying to make it mandatory.
Save your life, they're trying to make it mandatory.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Ultrasound for what? Or mandatory for what?
For whatever. That's the whole point. It's almost,
okay,
it sounds like,
all,
if I'm right, it sounds like, Cheryl, that it's almost at the doctor's discretion that they must do it. You could have a tooth loose or something like that, and they'll say, well, let's have invasive ultrasound. I'm not trying to be flip with it, but go ahead.
What it sounds like to me is, sounds like the insurance companies are pushing for these ultrasounds for everything. An ultrasound doesn't give you answers to everything. When you're looking for certain things, you have to have maybe an MRI or a CAT scan, depending on what they're looking for. So it sounds like a waste of money and something that they can make as billable procedure.
There you go.
What was it?
And I shouldn't be told what I'm going to have. It is my option and my right to say yes or no, or I want a different test that's more that's going to give me the information I need to know about whatever's going on with my body. So for them to try to push on legislation, it's just like when they were giving women abortions that were mentally challenged.
Right.
Or women that were poor and they were sterilizing them.
Yep.
It's almost as if, well, again, it's down south and out there in the great country with the white folk. They try to genocide us. Well, a lot of white girls is having babies.
That is.
And it's slowing down a little bit with the sisters because some of the sisters are not having these babies like they were having because they can't depend on them baby daddies.
There you go.
So when you try to push procedures on us, think about all the poor white trash women that have all these babies and baby daddies. You're pushing it on them too. Well, they're trying to divide us anyway. It's going to be the rich and the poor. That's what they want.
Well, that's exactly where it's at for now, for sure.
If we allow them as if you need to get out here and vote in these elections, which I think people are starting to see, because anytime you can shut down a city's education program like they've done in Philadelphia, it's just something to think about.
Well, here's something else to consider, Cheryl. We're supposedly knocking on the door of the 4th of July, national celebration and all that, but the sequestrations have affected things to such a degree that even military bases can't have fireworks displays because, it's the sequester. Everybody's cutting down across the board. North Carolina just killed unemployment essentially for many of their people there, including 10% of those who are all military. No matter what the circumstances, anybody in the military should get whatever the hell they want if they serve for that simple reason. But to flip back to where we started with the ultrasound issue and the sidebars of attacking abortion in Texas, there's a movement now on social media where they're telling all Texas women, if they will not respect your reproductive rights, then there needs to be a strike. No more nookie in the bedroom. Let there be an ass embargo. Ain't nobody getting no ass until the whole thing is settled down there in Texas. Now, I've always been a union man, but this is one time where a strike would really stick somebody right where they live, you think, if it really would be successful.
Yeah, it would hurt. A couple people be a little bit upset. I mean, if we decided to close them legs and you're not getting no noogie, and you're dragging around with blue balls for a couple of months, might be a problem. And some people might think differently. Man, she gonna hold out. I guess I better think her way.
Well, there you
go. It could work. It might work. Depending, it could. It could, because men always think with that third. Some men think with that third leg, and not with their brain.
Double truth indeed. Good, Gary.
And,
there might be if they do that. There's a physical threat to females. If they do that, men will get violent. That's right. If they do that, which I think is the right to do that.
If they resort to that, Gary, if they were to resort to that, that would speak to an even bigger and more obscene issue. But the fact that people even have to think about, well, you know what, if you're going to do this and I have to play pussy politics, literally, in order to have my issues properly addressed, then something's wrong here. And Cheryl, this is no surprise. This has been done. They tried this invasive ultrasound, and when they talked about forcible rape and all this crap during the presidential campaign, and it died down after there was a firestorm and certain folks got burnt up behind it all. But it seems like in their arrogance, they are continually ready to throw this at people.
Yeah, but they keep throwing the same stuff at it, and it keeps getting shot down. If you look at quite a few key things have happened, people are allowed, gay rights in couple, which should have been done because, like the president said, he's a president for everyone.
Right.
That was a really key, important thing, and they're still fighting, so that I can't think of affirmative action. And that Thomas, I wish he'd go somewhere and crawl up and die some goddamn way. Goddamn mouth up. Because the affirmative action and his black ass wouldn't be sitting on the judge of the Supreme Court if it wasn't for affirmative action. He'd either go sit down somewhere, crawl up in a hole, and just die.
Well, now that you brought that up, Cheryl.
That's a little harsh. No,
it's not.
It's a little harsh because I don't wish death upon anyone, but that man has done nothing for his race. He needs to stop kissing them crackers' ass because they know who to go to come to, nigga. Oh, yes, well, master, I'm toting that bell and shoveling that hay. You know what I mean? He makes me sick every time he opens his damn mouth.
Since you brought it up, Cheryl, give us your overtake, or rather your cover and your response to how the Supreme Court has been altered drastically now with this, for lack of a better word, gelding of the Voting Rights Act.
I thought about it, but I really didn't think about it because you can do whatever you can to try to stop us from voting, but we're still going to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Just like we stood in all those lines to vote our president back in. They're trying to do everything possible to push the shade the other way, but let's face it, they ain't got a dog and a dog catcher to run for president. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody they put up, the bones just fall right out the closet. They don't even get all the way through their election. The bones fall out in the beginning. So all of this that you're trying to stop happening is not going to stop people from voting. Too many people have died and laid down their life for you to vote. And the young people are starting to realize, for the simple fact that they saw how they disrespected their president. That educated man and his educated wife, they got more education than the whole goddamn Bush family put the fuck together.
Do you think that seeing all of this stuff is making younger people more aware that they are going to have to get off their asses and jam and come out and hit the street?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
For the simple fact that when they disrespected the president,
mm-hmm.
I saw more young black men go out there and vote than before. So I'm thinking, and just the arrogance of the fun they've made of his wife and his kids and stuff,
mm-hmm.
they're not liking it. They're not liking it very much. They're really not liking it very much. And then they see all the drastic cuts to education, music, and football, and basketball, because some of these things are the ticket out for kids, are getting less and less. I don't think they're going to get discouraged. I think they're going to get more fired up, because the thought of thinking is, these things were offered to you, you son of a bitches. How the hell are you not going to offer it to me? If you're not going to give it to me, I'm going to take it. Take it by going out here and vote. Now
that makes the immigration bill even more important, though, Cheryl.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's what I'm going to say, because the GOP, for years and years and years, and depending on Latino vote, and these guys are trying to vote this thing down. I'm going to tell you something. If they do, Latinos are going to go vote Democrat. They're going to vote what?
Yeah. It's going to be something that needs to be looked at, because we know for a fact the efforts that have been made to stifle elections. We saw them in the primaries. We saw them in states that weren't affected initially by the Voting Rights Act because they weren't under that watchdog umbrella. Now can do the same things, or at least attempt to do the same things. We see Ohio showing just as much of a redneck as Texas and other states that were under the ban is doing in their actions to try to get away with invasive ultrasound, as well as trying to find a way to suppress people and stop people from voting in redistricting. So all of these things together, knowing that the court has decided on some things, but yet I felt that this was the one thing that they wanted to do more damage to than anything else, because it affects everybody. Stifling everybody's ability to vote was the key. It wasn't gay marriage, and it wasn't, gays loving and living together and marrying and all the other stuff like that there. The key thing was to suppress the vote, because they know this country is getting darker. They already knew they were a minority. Now everybody else knows it. So it's almost as if they're trying to put up a dam to stem the tide of what they feel is coming their way.
You're right.
Scares you. Well, it doesn't scare me, but it scares them for sure. Otherwise, they wouldn't resort to these issues. But as we get back to where we started with this, Cheryl, you and your daughter run a school for young people, for babies, preschool, and feeding them and taking care of them and making sure that they get the best of care is paramount. when you're going beyond that level of those kids and they having to go to elementary school or something like that, since you're right there in front of all of it, do you see these kids being able to transition decently coming out of preschool into what would be an elementary school system?
Well, this is why at our center it's called a learning center, because we are trying to prepare our babies for when they go, they're prepared. And that makes a difference. We're not a babysitting service.
Mm-hmm.
Your babies learn how to write and read.
Mm-hmm.
Basic things to prepare them for kindergarten, because there will be they're not going to have kindergarten. They're trying to eliminate kindergarten. Your child's going to go right from whatever daycare he goes to, a nursery school, to first grade. And if you're not a learning center and your kids are not prepared, if we see a problem in our kids, we have such wonderful parents that they try to address the problem,
right.
Because my daughter is an educator,
mm-hmm.
and she loves children. So it makes a difference. One of my babies didn't know his colors, and now
mm-hmm.
he knows his colors. He knows more than the basic colors. He knows his primary colors, too. He knows purple and pink and black and white.
Mm-hmm.
And those colors your primary colors are yellow, red,
mm-hmm.
blue,
mm-hmm.
green, and brown.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows orange. So it depends on, the parents. If they care about where their kids are going, because a lot of these daycares are a bunch of babysitting services. We don't holler at our children. We tell them no thank you. That it carries on at home. If the parent says something or give them something they don't want, my babies say no thank you.
Mm-hmm. This is a weird premise, Cheryl.
Even with confrontation amongst each other,
mm-hmm.
we make them work it out. Or if you don't want someone to play with your toy or touch, you say no thank you, and then I will intercede.
This is a weird premise.
That.
What bothers me about this is that you just mentioned there's no kindergarten for them to go to. We all went to kindergarten when we were kids. It wasn't like it was anything that was detached from normal path of education. Even in public schools, there was always a kindergarten. You think about the fact that, I forget which study it was, but the study indicated that from the years 4 to 9, that is the prime point of immersion, where if you give a kid anything, even quantum physics, they can absorb that shit and translate it and use it as knowledge at the next level.
Because some of our kids are bilingual. They
mm-hmm.
speak English and they speak Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
We have Portuguese.
Mm-hmm.
We don't always understand what the parents are saying, but we get the gist, because
mm-hmm.
they explain the best way they can, but their child speaks both their language. We have a child that is German.
Mm-hmm.
I have African American children. I have an Irish child, and we love all our babies. You know what I mean? But
sure.
We can find a way to communicate with them, and if you give them stuff, they're smart as whips. They're very, very smart. At 3 years old, they're very, very smart, and they get excited about learning. They do. They learn how to write their name or write a letter or know the alphabet. Oh, the joy in it. The thing is, even if there's not a kindergarten, if a parent puts a child in the proper place to learn, shouldn't
mm-hmm.
matter if we don't have a kindergarten.
Right,
because
if
they're coming from a place, that's a problem, because you know what? People don't want to pay to put them through kindergarten. I'll just let them go to first grade, and then they're lost, and they're behind from day one, and then they're behind for the rest of their life.
Gary,
and it's sad to say black parents don't realize that, don't see it, don't care.
Well, because if their parents told them that, there's no building blocks. You gotta have building blocks. We skipped over the building blocks, so they get school at any rate. They get lost because we haven't trained them in the beginning.
Not just that, Gary. The fact that they're eliminating a prime time situation and leaving it in the hands of parents. And I'm not saying all parents are bad parents or anything like that.
No, and I'm not saying that either.
No, but you're taking a vital time frame out of the equation for kids to learn, and in doing so, it's part of the dumbing down process. You know, schools have been eliminated. You know, they're building prisons. It's got to be stress upon stress upon stress heaped on parent and child as this pattern is established and looks to destroy kids. And we don't have officials speaking up for it. We don't have people speaking on it. We don't have anyone in the media, locally, on news programs saying, this ain't right. You got to handle this. No, but we will talk about that big prison that's being built with taxpayer money. $34,000 a year to house a prison, just a little over $11,000 a year to take care of a kid. Now, I'm no economics major, but when you do the math,
I think
don't the 11-1 sound like the better investment?
The kid is the better investment to take in care of. And then you have, sorry to say, some of these young guys that don't have that future in education. Well, if I'm in jail, I get 3 square meals. I can educate myself in, or build weights and buff myself up. And they have that mentality, three meals in a cot, and it's sad. You know what I mean? But we also don't have the kind of men. We have some men that are trying to save the youth, the young men that are coming along. But then there's a lot of them that aren't. And it's hard for the few that are trying. I think those guys out there that try to make a better way for a young black man in this world, it's hard.
Yeah,
it's a very very difficult situation when the system is constantly beating you up. Every day beating you up.
It's
now,
why
it's like we had to support our brothers and sisters, and we don't do this, we don't do that. Right? And we had to begin to do that because if we don't, nobody else will.
That's exactly right. But Gary, I think as we segue into our next topic, I can't understand for the life of me why there isn't more outrage about the fact that schools are being closed, not just in Philly, in Chicago, in other major urban centers. Teachers' unions are under siege. Teachers are being laid off nationally. And that has nothing to do with the sequester, which is a whole separate issue. But they're doing this deliberately, putting up these edifices, and it's almost as if they're daring us to have the balls to stand up because they're doing everything to break everyone in between. Now, rich people won't have a problem. Not at all. They'll have access to whatever the hell they need. But people who think they're working class, who think they're middle class, once they get a taste of that, the stupid backlash that we see, as we've seen in some areas toward our president, is some of the results. Not realizing the same assholes they voted in are really the ones responsible for them losing their standard of living and being hurt by it.
Well, they'll get it. They're gonna get it this week when they get the bill for their students, for their little Johnny and Josie going to college. They'll get it because it's a double tax increase. these people, Americans are basically stupid people. What I mean is, they see the writing on the wall and they still vote for clowns.
Sure.
And that's got to stop.
Mm-hmm. I have to go in a different direction briefly because I was going to bring this subject up a few shows ago. And as ironically on a Wednesday for some reason is when we have our gremlins. But when I had this listed on the menu, we had gremlins in a mass major way, and it affected my show. So I want to talk about this now since I didn't put it on the menu. What a lot of people may or may not know is that the Nestle company, and Nestle, for y'all don't know, they make the iced tea and, Nestle's Quick and all that other old stuff when they're a food company. Nestle has been trying to buy up the world's water for years. And I want to give a shout-out to my soul patrollers, Dallas and Elliot, who are out on the West Coast. They have actually been fighting Nestle in the state of Oregon. And this has been something that's been ongoing at lesser levels for a long time. But Nestle has been trying to bottle up all of this stuff because, and when I first heard this, I was like, all right, I wasn't surprised, but when somebody comes out with something as blatant as this, and they happen to be the CEO of the company, it has, well, you can't ignore it. And I want to read exactly from the post itself so that we have everything accurate here. This son of a bitch, Peter Breivik Letmata, he is the CEO of Nestle, and this is his words now, says that he wants to privatize the water supply because people have a sense of entitlement that causes them to waste copious amounts of water. Now, needless to say, Nestle is the number one seller of bottled water in the world. But y'all hear some shit like this. How do you react to something like this? Gary, he's telling you, access, this is his quote, his direct quote, access to water should not be a public right.
This sounds like the book 1984, but again, you allow these people to have privilege. When you allow somebody to have privilege, this is what they do. Right? They overextend themselves, and they think as much as they can is for all that they can do it.
Well, more than that, as I believe our colleague Patrick Farrar is in the mix here. Patrick, are you there?
Live and living color.
All right, my brother. Patrick, before we touch on football, Patrick, Cheryl, I don't know if you know or not, but the Nestle company had done some real Dick Dastardly shit back in the 70s. Nestle was accused of getting third world mothers hooked on formula, which we all know is less healthy and more expensive than breast milk. The World Health Organization had set marketing rules back then, but as we speak, y'all, infant formula, like Similac, Enfamil, all that other stuff, it is a $11.5 billion market. The issue that knocked this all out was in 1974. It was called the baby killer. The New Internationalist put out an expose on Nestle's marketing practices in a thing called Babies Mean Business. It described how the company got third world mothers hooked on baby formula, and in poverty-stricken cities in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, babies were dying because their mothers bottle-fed them with Western-style infant milk. Now, we know when you see those commercials about kids being adopted at 3 o'clock in the morning, you see the kind of conditions that they're in, and that includes the water. So you mix that formula in with that water, and you've got even worse breeding grounds for dysentery and all other kinds of stuff there. And you hear something like this, Cheryl, on top of a CEO saying that water is not guaranteed to you just because you're somebody here on this planet Earth, and that a CEO is saying this. I mean, he's literally trying to kill you. Am I being extreme by saying this?
No, I don't think so, because first of all, I don't know who gave people the idea that they charge us for damn water anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Water was here and it was free. So I don't know what genius that we got the water company. Yeah, the water has to be treated. But our water bill shouldn't be ridiculously high. Because, yes, we have to have clean water to drink. But then it ain't all that clean either.
There you go. Patrick
I do not drink the Schuylkill Punch.
I agree.
I wash in it, but I don't drink it.
No.
Anything I'm cooking in it is I'm gonna cook or it's boiled.
Mm-hmm.
But I drink filtered water out of my refrigerator. I do not drink the Schuylkill Punch. Do not.
You can't drink the Schuylkill Punch because it's been so treated with fluoride that they tell expectant mothers not to drink the tap water because it instills birth defects in the baby. Now, Patrick, on top of all of this,
I haven't drank Schuylkill Punch since way before I had my children. I never liked the taste of water.
Oh, so everybody knows outside of Philadelphia.
Water.
Cheryl, hold on. So everybody knows outside of Philadelphia area. Philadelphia is bounded by two rivers, the Delaware and the Schuylkill. So the Schuylkill River
is so filthy and dirty looking.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. So on the heels of all of that, Patrick, it reminds me of the thing that Paul Mooney used to say about, if there's a water shortage, why are you selling it at Ralph's?
Well, in Jersey, ironically, in this area, some of the best water in the country is in this area.
That's
but
true.
I still drink the tap. I get the cheapest water I can find relative to what I can, what's available. But this guy is really, prototypical of CEOs who believe his stuff don't stink. And the words of my daddy, God rest his sweet, loving soul in heaven, when he said, when you think your stuff don't stink, God got a way of making you smell it.
Yep.
So time will come when his ideas and his positions and opinions will get exposed, and it'll take care of itself. A la Miss Paula Dean. So
Lord have mercy, yes.
Let's go there with Miss Paula.
Well, we got Cowboy Reggie in the mixer as well before we go there. But with Cowboy, first of all, good evening, Cowboy. And you heard about the fact that Nestle is trying to buy up all the water in the world to make sure that you buy their water. I mean, this is like mark of the beast stuff, It's like, if you don't have a mark, meaning that dollar bill, you're not going to get water, so you're not entitled to water. We'll let your ass die. Give me your take on this.
Well, again, why are we surprised? Because what I see over in Egypt, I can see happening in America. You have to overthrow the people. But like I told somebody in another talk show, I trust the federal government before I trust corporate America. You saw corporate America on a Sunday told these Wall Street workers, get your asses out of here. We don't need you no more. At least the government, as screwed up as it is, at least they will stand up for regulations. If you don't believe me, look at Texas when that fertilizer plant blew up, and the same sorry-ass governor there, screaming about we don't need all these regulations, was screaming saying, where's the government regulations? And again, people talking about there's too many regulations out here. Well, okay, I will grant you that, but if there was no regulations, how do you think things would be right now? You'd be working on an assembly line with 3 fingers cut off your finger. You'd have child labor where 7, 8 years old working in sweatshops like overseas, see Nike. So, I mean, again, it just amazes me how people want to sit up in here and kind of use their own will to justify the craziness that goes on. And I was going to say this, I throw this in real quick. Another talk show, a black guy, I'm not going to say his name, but talking about, in North Carolina, they have done away with early voting. And I said to that these punk-ass Democrats again, and Eric Holder, I'm going to put him in the same boat, have stood there soundly while these Republicans said we're going to take all of y'all, not just black folks, but at the class warfare, we're going to take all of y'all back to the good old days where we were on top and y'all on the bottom.
Ain't no surprise in that. Cheryl, before you get into Paula Dean's ass, I just want to tip back to this water issue because, again, this is not some crackpot saying this. This is not some anarchist group saying this. This is the fucking CEO of a company who we know has to be dictating policy through all of his underlings, et cetera, et cetera. It almost reminds me about, y'all remember the second Omen movie, Damien, where they were trying to control and go actually into the business of famine? This is the other way around, except it's water in this case. And I'm using movies because it's the only thing that's registering to me that allows me to translate this quickly. But Cheryl, you hear this stuff, and how do you react to this when you see it's the CEO, the boss man is telling you he don't want you to have no water unless you're going to buy it from him? Cheryl, you there?
Horrible.
Oh, there you
I'm
go.
here.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a lot of balls, but these crackers have been showing a lot of balls lately since we've gotten a black president.
Mm-hmm.
So am I surprised? Hell no.
Mm-hmm.
But shocked? No. Because they figure, since this black man in office, we just going to pull out all the stops. We just going to do all the shit we want to do, and we think we're going to get away with it. The world is not sleeping like they think. And just like the gentleman said, can't nobody take care of you better than the Lord can.
Mm-hmm. It's a good point.
And every person that does something sneaky, underhanded, in harm of God's children, you pay. Might not pay as fast as we want you to, but you pay. In the sense that you can own the water and want us to buy it from you, God put it here for everybody. He's going to be, the rude awakening is going to happen to him because you ain't got that power, boy. You talking and you're trying to buy. But seems to me he's having a little hard time trying to accomplish what he needs to do. Isn't he?
Well,
he thought it was going to be.
This is an ongoing fight, Cheryl, and Patrick. Cheryl brings up a good point. It's not even so much that they're doing this because we know they've done this or have been doing this for almost 40 years. Maybe not in so secret in other parts of the world. But one point that Cheryl makes is that they're not hiding their contempt for the fact that there is a black man running this country. And it may be as blatant as that, but I don't think we've seen as much out and out, I don't like you, I'm not pretending to like you, whether it's in a corporate vein, whether it's in a political protocol vein. It seems that hostility has gone on an extended holiday, and it is vacationing in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and reflective elsewhere. Patrick, are you there?
I'm live and living color.
Oh, did you hear the last thing? Did you hear my last statement?
I heard your statement.
Oh.
I mean, it's you put a period on that. Ain't no doubt about that. I mean, I'm sorry I got to use the vernacular of the street, but the president need to get gangster.
Yeah,
really.
He do.
He got 2.5 to 3 years left. He should do a Leon Spinks. I ain't got nothing to lose.
There you go.
And stop worrying about what's politically correct and even please. That's what Bush did. He didn't give a damn. That's what I'm doing. I left the country almost in a depression. So if I'm Obama, if I'm the president, this is what I'm gonna do. Don't like it? Tough. It's what's gonna happen.
And see, that's what I wonder. I'm waiting for Brother Man to act out because he been sitting there and doing very quietly in the White House. Why isn't he acting?
That's the real real question, Gary. Why? What the fuck is he holding up for? He had to do all kinds of maneuvering to even get back in this position.
Yes.
So it brings us to the point that Reggie had alluded to before. It's like, all right, now you in, so it's time to go ahead and whip people's ass. You can bludgeon them with some diplomacy. You can bludgeon them with some executive orders and say, I'm Rick James, bitch, president style, and get shit done. And they're not doing it. So Reggie, it's not just about the Democrats being a bunch of pussies. There's something else going on here that people aren't really being turned on to. What do you think it is?
Oh, boy.
Well, it looks like I'm getting gremlins again, y'all. I was expecting that.
Michael, what I think happened is, and you look at what happened in the past 2 weeks. What happened with the gay rights thing?
Right.
Now, Burn Man, 2 years ago, allied himself with the gay rights, which is all well and good. But in order to do that, you have to give something.
Yeah.
I believe that the Democratic Party, for some reason, has given away power to something that we don't know about. I don't know what it is, I don't know where it is, but something's not right. Because any other time the Democratic Party would act, they have done absolutely nothing the past 8 years.
And that's what bothers me, Gary. Cheryl, you were campaigning for this brother. You know more, well, you know probably better than any of us because you were closer to it in the campaign and all of that. What he planned to do, and we know there's been cock blocking on the part of Congress, but, even more so, he's got that power of executive order in his back pocket. And, doesn't it concern you as to why he hasn't taken it out yet and beat somebody over the head with that?
Everybody underestimates him. I think he's going to let another year ride, and his last 2 years, all hell's going to break loose.
But Joe,
and then some of the key things that are they're being passed slowly. I think he has a plan, but he's not going to show his hand. He's too intelligent for that.
I hope so.
He's going to use his executive power for the most crucial things that need to be passed and done before he get out of office, just like Bush and the rest of them did. So I understand what people say, but he's an analogical type of man. He's a chill back. I'm going to get it done when I'm ready to do it. He's not listening in people in his ear. And when he show his ass, he's going to show his ass. Because this is the quiet before the quick.
I feel you.
He's giving them one more chance. Because when he opens that can of whoop ass on everybody, everybody's going to be like, oh, damn, the president done gone rogue. Oh, shit. Because it's going to happen.
Well,
he's been very patient. He's tried to do things the right way. But there are things that he wants to pass, and there are things that he wants to be remembered by that were crucial to this time that he served office. It's just not happening as fast enough as everybody would like him to do.
Well,
but imagine the weight that he has on his shoulders and all the things that are all jumping off at the same time. I got to kill this fire here. I got to kill this one here. I got to kill that one there. He can't do everything all the time, but the crucial things that are close to his heart, which is education and other things, like they took a furlough for the student loans and stuff.
Right.
He's pissed off about that because he knows how it is. He just said him and Michelle just paid theirs off not too long ago. So
yeah, but that hits right at his base, too. I know he knows. It's not a question about him not knowing.
He knows, and they're playing and playing and playing. He's getting tired, guys. You can see how he comes out really, a little more gruffer than what he did in the beginning. He's not ass.
Yeah, ain't no more black hair on top of his head. I see that. He got a whole shitload of gray on that head now.
So you guys just got to give him a chance to do what he's got to do. He's a very analogical man. So he's plotting and scheming, and you guys don't even know it. Just like when he found Bin Laden. He never said nothing about it. He went to the road, sat there and laughed and chuckled with Donald Trump's ignorant ass. And meanwhile, he was getting shit done.
I'm with all of that, Cheryl.
Don't underestimate him. Jeez.
This is not a question of underestimating. This is a question of the other side stalling him out. Because it's 2013 now. We know the midterm elections are coming up. And we also know that the same shit they did at the beginning of the second term, they can do now. By 2014, even if all of our people get in, if everybody who's looking to get jobs out here, to take care of veterans, to take care of building schools, and all the things that would help everyone in the lower working class and upper, these cats will say, well, shit, we can continue to stall because he's a lame duck now. What the fuck he say? It ain't going to matter.
Well, Mike, I want to jump in this right quick because from the president, I just got a piece of information from a friend of mine from Wanda Sykes.
Okay.
And Wanda Sykes is talking about your girl and mine, Paula Dean. Basically, she said what Paula Dean just needs to do is shut the F up. Shut the fuck up.
Oh, Lord.
Well, I guess Wanda had to give Sister Girl some taste of her southern opinion too, because the more she talked, actually, you know, when it comes to that, you know, I tell people, Paul Dean is going to be okay. I'm concerned about the woman who initiated the suit and the black folks who work with her.
Yes.
Or work under who have everything to lose and nothing to gain.
That's right.
With the fact that her empire now is worth half of what it used to be. If the lady loses the suit, at least she got that accomplished. She got half her empire taken away from her.
Yeah, no shit. That ain't no joke, Cheryl. That's a whole lot of money that left out with the pots and pans. And you wanted to get it some of that, so go ahead.
Okay, Miss Paula Dean. And you know what? I used to like her. But I think everything that they said, and then the thing about it is, a white woman brought this suit up against her.
That's
right. Yeah,
it's a white woman. Because she got tired of the way she treats her employees, and I believe that them crackers thought it was okay. For example, the 2007 wedding she gave her brother, and she wanted everything like an old Southern wedding, like slave serving.
Yep.
You bitch. You bitch.
Can't racist single song.
I hope you can't sell pie to a pie crust. Okay? Because you got a lot of nerve. You thought you could get comfortable. You thought it was comfortable enough for you to get on TV and say, I said it, but it was years ago. You a lying bitch.
Wait, here's a killer.
Yeah,
here's a killer about that. She said she had
lying bitch.
1979.
Yeah, you're a lying bitch. This white woman on went and said you going around there, and she said it wasn't the point of saying nigger. It was the point of how she treats people. Because she knows people need jobs and stuff. And her uncle, brother, they say he's a nasty son of a bitch. Yeah, her brother.
Yeah, her brother.
Nasty son of a bitch.
Don't forget the granddad.
And unfortunately,
my granddad commits suicide because my slaves are free. Don't forget that.
There you go.
And she thought that she was going to get away with her. Now they don't even want to publish her book that's already pre-ordered. Because they say, no, you just don't go on too damn far, Paula. Too damn far.
Here's the thing. When she said,
you done really slipped and bumped your goddamn head. The thing about it is the tears, because, you know, I don't really care for the guy on, what is his neck?
Lowry. Yeah.
Right.
But even Matt Lowry stuck it to her.
Yeah.
Is it really, Paula? What?
Wait, here's the killer. When she said last time she said nigga was 27 years ago, you actually know the date, and she said a black guy was robbing her. Okay, that happened then.
No,
but the one was worse than that was when she said her great granddaddy had slaves. Well, you know,
that's what I just said.
we were all family. Really? So the niggas were slaves, but they were family. Well, how come you didn't leave when the great granddaddy died? Stop.
There you go.
Yeah,
hello.
He committed suicide.
And she just kept digging
herself.
Now. She kept digging herself more and more in the hole. She should have shut the hell up. She should have paid that little white girl to go away. That's what she should have done.
But it goes to show,
now she ain't got a pot to piss in and a window to hurl it out of, because everybody's pulling their support for her.
Hold on, one at a time. Good, Cheryl.
Okay, but Cheryl, I got a question for you, Cheryl. Okay, how does it make you feel when you see these black men, other people, running to her defense, but yet, and I got to throw this out the panel, if she had made a statement about a gay person, or she had made a statement about a Jew,
Lord have mercy.
Seen this. I mean, I just want to talk to the panel. Cheryl,
but you know there's always some nigga that kiss white ass. What, are you surprised? Like Stacey
Unfortunately,
Dash,
I was hurt.
Stacey Dash need to go on.
Oh Lord, please, not even. Don't talk about that trick.
Her career is done for. Her career is when she backed Romney. She miles her. Girl, you ain't in Beverly Hills. You broke.
You know what?
Every show you're on, there's always controversy, and you're at the end of it. You got mental issues. Go get some help. Okay? Go get some help.
You know,
not Stacey. What's her name?
Stacey Dash. Stacey Dash is her name. No.
She need to go on somewhere and get some mental health, because she truly is confused of what the fuck she is.
It's called tripping.
If she got green eyes, you're still black.
Yeah.
It's called tripping.
You're still black.
It's called what, Patrick?
Okay?
Hold on, Cheryl. It's called what? Yeah, it is called tripping. Girl done lost her damn mind. But I digress. I want to bring this up, though, because I want to get to why Patrick is, throwing something in the pot in the first place. I want to get a kitchen to him for a few minutes, because, the NFL, it might stand for Negroes Felony Licensing, because you had two brothers out there killing folks, and whether it's purposeful or whether it was accidental, because the case supposedly around the Browns was looking, or the ex-Brown was supposedly an accident with his brother hitting him with his fist and whatnot, and he wasn't registered as a deadly weapon and all of that. But the long and short of it is, this shit with Aaron Hernandez started back years before he became a Patriot. Apparently, as far as when he was at the University of Florida.
They think he got two more bodies.
Yeah, well, that's where we go on. Patrick, first, go ahead and lay the table out before us and whatnot, and let everybody in on what you've done.
Well, tonight they just found some more evidence in his condo.
Right.
Some secondary evidence where the white hoodie was found. And they found some stuff on a pad. That was evidence. I mean, when you get to the point where they lay everything out on TV, I mean, talking about crossing the T's and dotting I's and times and places, so succinctly to what happened. That's the evidence we know. We haven't got the evidence we don't know.
Thank you.
If it looks that bad with evidence that you know, Lord have mercy. And then I think also, I know, Aaron got some reality checks last week when he went to jail, and when he got in there, First got in there, asked guy for a bottle of water. Said, yeah, he gave him a cold bottle of water. And he appreciates it. That, yeah, can I have another one? The guy said, yeah, the toilet or the tap water. So that reality that he's in jail, you don't get no special treatment in jail.
You get excited about it. Won't be the treatment you want.
That's it. Let the church say, so
sorry, sir. I'm sorry about that, sir.
So with that in mind, Mike had talked about the conspiracy theory on why the image of the Patriots has obviously been damaged, but why a particular person came back to try to enhance that image because of the fact that I truly believe, as you talked about your conspiracy theory, the reason why this person came on is to be the complete opposite of what they see from some of your cousins acting a damn fool, putting out guns and shooting people.
Here we go. All right, so having said that, here we go. Now, Dr. Evil is in the house, and I'm going to lay it out for y'all. Now, let's think about when Tim Tebow did his little Planned Parenthood commercial in front of a national audience on Super Bowl Sunday. It was all out there, God, Mom, apple pie, all that horse shit. He comes into the league. He's a fucking bust. I can tell you, playing wide receiver, the last thing you want is a quarterback that can't throw the fucking ball accurately to the spot it's supposed to be. I've seen receivers have their careers ruined because all it takes is one pass sailing on your ass, and you put yourself out there in harm's way, and meanwhile that safety has got the barbecue sauce, and he's ready to baste those fucking ribs to tear your black ass up. And you're done. That's right, C. Dow Stingley for real. Now, having said that, everybody knew this son of a bitch couldn't fucking throw. But that didn't stop him in his arrogance from saying, I'm white and I want to be a quarterback. Now, he could have played tight end or H-back and everybody would have respected him because he can ball, but he just can't ball the quarterback. So, having said these things and the failure, the colossal failure in New York, all of a sudden there's a clandestine meeting. So cue the dimly lit room. And in that room, Commissioner Goodell, Robert Kraft, owner of the Patriots, Bill Belichick and his lowlife, Dick Dastardly cheating ass, and other officials, picked hand ones from the league, and maybe a couple of top media folks. Cue the mandolins. And as this shit is coming off, and as this shit is coming off, the commissioner is like, a few months back, you asked a favor of me, and this I did for you, because I took rid of that. I took all the Spygate shit and I buried it. Nobody didn't know fuck all about Spygate because not only did I take the tapes, I burnt those motherfuckers. I got rid of everything. And in spite of the fact, Bill, that your motherfucking Patriots cheated your ass away to maybe 2 Super Bowls, we put it under the table. No problem. We got it covered. Hey, it's all right. But now there's a favor I must ask of you. So we want you to take Tim Tebow's challenged ass and stick him on there as a third quarterback. We don't give a rat's ass whether you play him or not. There's a mandate that we need this kid in the league so that whenever a situation arises, we can throw his ass out there. He appeals to us. We need him. We can't have him on the fringe anywhere. And they knew because the Jet players said straight up, the fucking guy can't throw. Now, these are his teammates telling him this. This is not me saying it. This is not his teammate. The fucking guy can't throw. If I run a skinny post, if I run a skinny post, I'm getting fucking killed. And even his teammates in Florida said that when the new quarterback came, and Urban Meyer lost his motherfucking mind because somebody said, well, this guy's better as a quarterback than Tebow because if I run an 8, I know the ball's going to be there. Or if I run a curl, the ball's going to be there. And when this young reporter from the Atlanta Sentinel was getting this information, Urban Meyer tried to strong-arm his ass. Even went so far as to say the Sentinel would never be granted passage or permission to write about the dotings of the Florida team. So we know how far this goes. and that Tim Tebow is going to be under the protection of House Kraft and the Dawn there, the NFL has no choice but to make up their own rash of stories about this son of a bitch, who might be a good person, might be. I'm not doubting, I'm not pissing on his faith or nothing like that, but the boy can't ball. And if he had decided to settle and play another position, like other white quarterbacks before him, like Pete Banaszak, who had a pretty good career with the Kansas City Chiefs, Sam Haverlack, who had a pretty decent career as a safety with the Baltimore Colts.
Yeah.
I believe Pete Banaszak. Oh, did I say Pete Banaszak? I meant Ed Podolak. Podolak, Banaszak, they both played, and they both had damn good careers, and they were former quarterbacks. So we already know what they do to the brothers playing quarterback. If a black man had said, I'm playing quarterback, fuck y'all, kiss my ass, his ass would be in Siberia right now, right, Vince Young? But I digress. Anyway, back to the clandestine meeting. So now, as all this is done, there's a hush over the crowd because they make sure that even upon news of the Hernandez killings or attempted murders or whatever they want to say, there's a dictum that's passed down through all the rest of the league, through the mouse, ESPN, who we know was in bed with them already. Don't say anything other than you have to say regarding this. We can't hide shit because the last time we tried to hide shit, Ben Roethlisberger was trying to rape some girl in the bathroom. Hush, hush. But, now since he's cleaned up and now that we've cleaned that situation up, we want to make sure that the spin goes no further. So, say only what needs to be said. Don't imply anything else. Don't say anything else. And now that all these other Negroes out here acting a damn fool, I'm eventually going to have to make a statement about all this shit. But while I'm doing this, you take care of little Timmy boy and keep him tucked safely and pray to God that Tom Brady does not get hurt. Close the cue, fade the black, mandolins in the background. Go ahead, bro.
Well, now on the black. I told you that, for some people that might be a stretch. That might be what you laid out might be a stretch. However, there is pockets of truth in that cannot be denied.
Ooh, please elucidate.
And within that, the image of this league that's put out, unfortunately, for the negative for the brothers, has to be in some way balanced by having a guy like Tim Tebow in the stories. Now, here's another reason that has validity. What came out just 2 days ago? Tim Tebow talked about Hernandez. He broke up a fight with Hernandez?
Yep.
Now, wait a minute.
Over a bar tab, if I heard the story right.
So when do we need Tim Tebow to back up Hernandez?
Thank you.
That goes along with that pocket of information that might be conspiracy theory that has validity with what you're saying. Mm-hmm. So I'm not surprised. And I never thought that Tim Tebow would not get a job in the NFL. Somebody somewhere was going to put that boy on his squad for many of the reasons that you just said. Maybe not in totality, but in terms of theory and pockets, yes, I believe that some of that is going on right now, and that's why he's in the league.
Now, I'm no economist, but we have to weigh everything. Now, the Jacksonville Jaguars have a new owner, and I truly believe, in all likelihood, maybe within the next 5 years, the Jacksonville Jaguars might be the London Jaguars or even the Munich Jaguars. They may be the first one to move internationally in this whole deal if they don't get Los Angeles. But having said that, here you had this kid who was the homegrown hero in Jacksonville, could have gone there and sold a lot of tickets, but he wasn't going to go there as a quarterback. Billy Cannon won the Heisman at LSU. He wasn't a quarterback. Couldn't ball. They turned him into a running back. He had a pretty decent career.
Then to a tight end.
Oh, so that's right, tight end, my bad. And he had a pretty decent career. So why not make Timmy a tight end? Why not make him an H-back? We know he can run, but the fact that even in spite of the fact that he had a fan base tailor-made for him, they know what we know. Timmy didn't do any heavy lifting at Florida. Chris Leak did all the heavy lifting for him.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Leak got that ball 90 yards down the fucking field, and then Tim Tebow ran at the remaining 10 or 5 in for the touchdown. Chris Leak should be bitch-slapping Urban Meyer upside the head right now, but I digress. The real deal is that even a stronghold like Jacksonville, where he had every opportunity to succeed, Jacksonville said, get the fuck out of here. We don't want this fool. Even though there was one asshole who went so far as to say that he was going to put up some of his own money to have Tim Tebow come down there and play for the Jaguars. You know, oh, please, Timmy, come play for us. It's horseshit. But I don't want to get too far from my conspiracy theory because it goes back to what the NFL has done and hasn't done in this Hernandez case. And they made sure that they wouldn't have their own investigation. Now, when Mike Vick's black ass was on the line, oh, I'm conducting my own investigation immediately. This is Goodell saying this shit. He went after his black ass immediately. And Mike did 23 months hard time. He didn't do punk-ass county jail. He did fed jail. He did hard time. He's going to always be a felon no matter what people say. Mike Vick could throw for 50 touchdowns and win the MVP. No, he won't win the MVP because the motherfuckers won't vote for him. But he can do all of these things. He can do all these things, and they'll still say he's an ex-con. Oh, you see what he did to Lassie? But yet a kid like Trayvon Martin will get shot down like a fucking dog, and nobody will say a fucking thing.
On the money. That image problem, and then the one they had today with Brooks being hit beside the head with a bottle. I'm going, why is this in the paper? Mm-hmm. I mean, we've seen fights. I've seen fights in lockers in my years I played and going, that ain't nothing.
That's nothing. That's exactly
that
right.
Ain't nothing.
Wait, guys. There's an article in the paper today.
Mm-hmm.
I read this morning in the San Francisco paper.
Mm-hmm.
And the recent arrest of NFL player under scrutiny. Now, listen to this. There are over 2,000 players in the National Football League, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
There are only 30 arrests. What does that go out to?
Less than the national average.
About 1.1%.
Thank you.
Some shit.
Now,
exactly.
Why is the media so about 1% of NFL players? Okay? That's a conspiracy.
Well, it's more than that, Gary, because it shows you intent of trying to not just destroy these kids before their careers even start. Like that kid in Cleveland, apparently he reacted to something and he hit somebody with his fist, and they hit the ground and whatever caused that. So it's not like he had murderous intent to do this. The Hernandez thing may be a whole different story. But to the point that you and Patrick just made, I want to go where A-Rod was going when they were putting his business out on Front Street. This may not seem related, but I think it ties into what you just said. Now, if y'all know, Alex Rodriguez had said in so many words that he was healthy and he was ready to do his comeback thing. All of a sudden now, the mainstream media gets a hold of this, and I don't know who the writer was for the New York paper. I believe it was the Daily News. So whoever the beat writer is might be the guilty party. He says this to Cashman, and Cashman blows a gasket. He just went the fuck off and blah 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 about A-Rod. A-Rod needs to shut the fuck up. Blah blah blah. Now, this is a general manager saying this. General managers don't say shit like this. General managers would say, "Is this off the record?" "Oh yeah, this is off the record, Mike." "Okay, he needs to shut the fuck up." "Now, what's on the record?" "Well, we are understanding what the real issue is here, and he's entitled to his opinion." Blah 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 blah. So this was a deliberate effort with the help of the New York Daily News to defame Alex Rodriguez and make sure that the tide of public opinion would further go against him because of the steroids, because of the $142 million that the Yankees still owe his ass, whether he plays or not, because they really didn't want him to play so insurance could pick up the tab for this year. Just like in the Andrew Bynum situation in Philly, where Philly fans were screaming about Andrew being all lazy and shit, but yet when Andrew was ready to play in the last 15 games of the season, they said, sit your black ass down. You ain't playing shit because if you play one game, we're on the hook for the $16 million instead of the insurance people. So we know there's other shit going on here. But the fact that the Daily News was a factor in allowing this thing to continue shows what the media does in trying to control spin and working as a bed partner for certain sports organizations. That's a classic case. And we're seeing the same thing here, I think, guys, with what happened here with the Brooks situation. These kids need to have coats pulled to them, not just by those who are in their circles who have good intent for them, but by the so-called agents that are supposedly worrying about their careers. They got to tell them that. They got to tell them what the fuck is going on. Look, when Belichick and that son of a bitch Kraft got fined $750,000 for cheating and winning those Super Bowls, well, Patrick, tell me, what's the yearly salary for a vested NFL veteran right now? Ain't it about that much?
Yearly salary is about 1.5, 1.6. Because it was actually close to 3 until the last deal was put together, right. And the players lost $900 million.
That's right.
That's why players got these old 1 and 2 year contracts. Some guys are working for minimum wage, hourly wage. That's where that comes in at. But again, it's the image problem that the Patriots are trying to deal with the help of Goodell. I wouldn't doubt that at all, which extends to the entire league.
Yes.
And the element of perception of these players having the kind of image problems that they have that have been induced by incidents that some, quite frankly, some is ridiculous, but it's magnified to the point to where you think the entire league is going through this. More lawyers get drunk driving cases than anybody else.
Sure.
Doctors get drunk driving cases. I mean, the fact that 1.1% of the league gets in trouble, you think it's 40% of the league. But again, you
That's
also
exactly right.
let's be real. The league is made of about 65% brothers. What else are you gonna think?
Exactly.
I mean,
because
I know of 2 hockey players last year that got in the fights and 2 DWIs, and nothing was put in the damn paper. That I know.
That's right. Well, Reggie, hold on, Gary. I got Reggie back in the mix in this. And Reggie, down in your neck of the woods in Washington, D.C., we already know there was pot stirrings regarding the nickname for Washington's football team, and that Goodell had to do even enough damage control as so much as to write a letter and let them know, that name doesn't mean that, but, if it was the Washington Niggers or the Kansas City Kikes, motherfuckers would lose their mind behind that shit. Yeah, exactly.
Well, see, the Richmond Farm team of the San Francisco Giants, AA, had a list of names, and one of them was Hambone.
Mm-hmm.
So the NWTP got in and said, you must be out of your bleeping mind. You think we're going to allow this. But I don't know, to stay on the NFL vein, and I'm sure Patrick will love this. The Washington Post had a story, I think, with Sal Jessreal, and our good friend, the pill-popping racist, bad boy country, Rush Limbaugh. And
I heard about today. Yeah.
Did you hear about that?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Hey, can you run with it? Because I got bits and pieces of it. And also, let's not forget about the book where the Roger Asmarina was asked, hey, can you coach these niggas? And he cussed out the owner at the basketball.
Oh, hell no. He said that shit?
No, not Rossi. This was NBA owner.
No, I'm asking.
Yeah, NBA owner that wanted Rossi to coach one of his teams in the NBA. He had his gold chains and, drinking champagne and some blonde bimbo. And show, don't holler at me about it. I'm just quoting what was being said. But he actually asked Rossi, so how you going to coach these niggas? It's a book coming out that it talks about it, and Rossi said he cussed the guy out so bad that you ever put me in this situation again. But yeah, Pat, tell me about that story in the Washington Post by Rush Limbaugh.
Please
do. I got bits and pieces of it. It was sent to me. I didn't read it fully, so I can't comment totally on it. But I'm aware of the article. I am aware of it. Yes, I am aware of it. Yes.
But basically, Rush Limbaugh was trying to say that the young man from the New England Patriots, usual broken back, black inner city, but thing was that he's a middle class kid with a mom and dad. So that was the first lie he told. Second, our friend Rafi, what's his name? The one that kissed O.J. Simpson's sister-in-law butt, that's going around, Mr. Big Nose himself, that goes on Fox News. Rafi, what's his name? I can't remember the guy's name. But anyway, he was the same one that talked about how black players and football is so balanced with their arrest. But yeah, they sort of, but they sort of realize it's in the Watch Post. I'm sure Big G can pull it up, but Jess Rochelle did the story. But all I'm saying again, we know that ESPN inspired to listen to your show right now, Mike, Dr. Eagle.
Yes, they are. And kiss my ass while you're at it. Thank you very much.
and Gary's story that Gary did, now all of a sudden they doing nice things to Mr. LeBron James. I'm just saying, guys, we need to support this show.
Go ahead, Gary.
What Cowboy is saying right on time, because they are listening to us.
And read your article too.
3 years ago, I did a 4-part series on ESPN and Black Americans. You know, a week later they did a story. We are going to stay in these people's eyes day and night. We have to keep watch every day on what they say. If I didn't do the LeBron James thing, they would not be doing it this week. Right? We have to keep their eyes every day.
Yeah, that's not even a fallacy, brother. That's fact. I can speak honestly on this. Had San Antonio won that series, we would see a block of programming that would be so vicious against ESPN, rather against LeBron James and everything that he did. They would talk about what an abject failure he is. They would talk about his so-called legacy. I mean, the only legacy that really is worth talking about is these scumbags from ESPN who have been doing this for years, trying to pimp out black athletes. And they've continued to do this for so long that they were able to be good enough to get into bed with the National Football League and other major sports leagues. So now, they've got some weight to them. But of substance, they have nothing. And they're in trouble because they know, Gary, that NBC is coming for their ass. They also know that Fox is coming for their ass, and that there will, in all likelihood, be 3 media entities, all going at each other for top rung in getting the attention of sports fans everywhere. And I can say, from having seen this enough and from what we've done collectively, all of us, people are tired of ESPN's bullshit. They're tired of the act. It ain't hip, it ain't cool, and it's annoying more than anything else. Let me
continue the story. This week, the Wimbledon tournament this week.
Yes.
This is the girl.
Oh yeah.
Sloane Stevens.
That's a movie for you.
And Nali, right?
Yep.
Those 3 girls are the only girls of color.
Yep.
In that tournament.
Yep.
All 3 girls lost 24 hours. And you heard the media. They blasted Sloane Stevens. They blasted Williams. And they Nali.
Of course.
Come on. That was enough.
Well, it was bad enough that Williams lost. I mean, some days you just get beat. And there was times where she did play tentative in that game, in that match against the German. But the long and short of it is, we don't have the license of being able to lose. Because if we lose, there's more to it than just
very
losing.
True.
And because of that, the price gets paid in the media. I can only imagine, and Hank Aaron got a taste of this, y'all. Can you imagine if Hank Aaron was trying to beat the home run record 40 years advanced from 1973? Can you imagine the kind of things they would do to him or attempt to do to him? Can you imagine how they would put his business out on Front Street and social media? Can you imagine how?
Shit.
Oh well, that's what. Well, look, essentially they did, but I'm just saying, if you're not somebody who is so mentally strong that you can withstand the torrent of constant haranguing. I mean, look, we can go to Scottie Pippen on this. Scottie Pippen, long out of basketball, minding his own business with his family, eating dinner, and some redneck motherfucker comes up to him asking for an autograph. Scottie wants some privacy, and the man, I won't even call him man, this punk ass spits at him and his kid. Yep. So Scottie manned up, whipped his motherfucking ass. Thank you very much, Scottie. And when they showed him being carried off in the ambulance, when they saw him carried off in the ambulance, I know he ain't hurt that bad, but he really gonna be hurt when they find out that he ain't getting no money off this shit because Scottie was in the right to protect his family. You don't know what motherfuckers will do. He could have been the same guy who stabbed Monica Seles in a match on the court when she was playing Steffi Graf. So he protected his family. Now there's one time where stand your ground makes all the sense in the world to me. You don't fuck with someone's family. But having said that, again, the Serenas of the world know they are. After years, it hasn't changed. They're jealous of the fact that she's been able to maintain. Remember, they just showed a video special with Venus on how Venus campaigned.
Which was very good.
It was excellent, which is what pisses me off because they do good work with some of their documentaries. Venus made sure that women players on the tour were going to get equitable pots because the women's tour was what was happening. And it was happening because the Williams sisters was making it happening. They weren't coming to see Roger Federer. As talented as Federer is, they weren't coming to see him. And they weren't coming to see Rafa Nadal, as talented as he is. They were coming to see the sisters whip that ass. Or they were coming to see the sisters' asses get whipped. So we know what time it was. Ali. That's right. We knew what time it was, and so did the sisters, which is why I even relished even more when the final had one sister playing the other. Because those people were mad as a motherfucker. Those true fans wanted to see a good match, God bless them. But for every 5 true fans, there's 2 assholes who are sitting in that, what are these 2 monkeys doing here playing tennis, they're pissed because they didn't get the finale that they want. Just like when Serena won, everybody was more exultant than usual because we didn't have to see this black bitch in the finals at Wimbledon, again, taking our trophy, and we don't have to be nice to her. Now we can have someone who looks like us. Oh, God save the queen.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah. And what you think, y'all? We drinking that tea.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah. But Mike, here's my question again. I always got to throw this question out. I'm so happy that Serena finally woke up again. It's not just our show, your show, when a comment was made about somebody made a comment about the way she looked in her outfit. She said, I'm not going to entertain any question unless they're tennis related. I'm like, you stick up your mouth shut with the Rolling Stone thing. I mean, again, my question to the panel, when these athletes, and Patrick, you know more anybody since you interview players, when do you athletes understand, shut the hell up and just stick to what you know and stop going out of your comfort zone when it comes to interview?
When they shut down their Twitter accounts?
There you go.
Oh, wow.
When they get off Facebook?
Wow.
There you go.
That's half the problem. I mean, so many guys have Twitter accounts. I mean, and they don't know what they think. Best put by Herm Edwards. I got to admit, Herm said it first. Guys, when you got a Twitter account, don't push send. That's the problem.
Think before you send.
And you just can't say everything on your mind. My question is, what were you doing before you got a Twitter account or a Facebook account?
Thank you. Thank you.
On cell phone.
This is part of a bigger problem because, and I blame the mouse for this because these idiots, these ignorant folks,
going back
had that microphone pushed in their face. They had these people pumping their ass up with horse shit. You know, and then they tell him, well, why don't you come into the studio? We'll do an interview, blah, 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 blah. All nicey when they need them.
Yeah.
But let their black asses get even remotely in trouble, and it's all over. Like you said, the Brooks thing, that never should have made that much noise.
Oh, please.
The Brooks thing made more noise than the Hernandez shooting initially. Think about it.
Thank you.
Think about it. When Hernandez did what he did, allegedly did, it didn't get nearly as much noise as what happened here with Ahmad Brooks. So that tells you that the game is rigged. And if the game is rigged, there is a covenant that must be set from coach to player, from player to those who are willing to listen, because I've tried it enough when I was in locker rooms. I tell them straight up, I wasn't looking to make friends with nobody. I wasn't looking to buddy up to nobody so that my copy would be pissed on as being compromised. But in the same text, I would say straight up to some that would listen, and God bless Eric Reck, because he was the first one to say, you're right. Don't just buy everything these motherfuckers sell you. They got them cameras in front of you for a reason. If something don't smell right, give them the details of what you did on the football field, and then go on off into the sunset. And then you know what they'll say? Well, he's a boring interview. That's okay. Bore me. But you won't be putting my business out on Front Street. There's a reason why our show does not have a Twitter account. I'm not going there. It's as simple as that. It would make sense, and we could probably get more fans and all that shit. I'm not going there. I'm not here to get fans as much as I'm here to pass on information. And it would be nice and all of that, but I don't play that. I want whatever information comes out to be under the gist of what we're doing here at Sultry and Radio in the Raw, not because of some crazy shit that goes off somewhere else and gets all half-cocked. And a lot of these young kids don't have anybody telling them that, and that's including their agents. And as far as I'm concerned, that's also part of an agent's responsibility to tell the player, you don't know what time it is out here. You need to know, and if I tell you certain things, and you see that they're consistent and they're true, you need to follow them. Give them what they want and then split. Yeah. And if it's not on a football field, you don't need to be dealing with them like that.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard anything from Derek Jeter's Twitter account?
Who?
Nope.
Who account?
Have you ever heard anything from Derek Jeter's Twitter account?
Nope. Nope.
That should tell you something.
Yeah, but look at Rondo with the Boston Celtics, with them hiring the former coach of, what was it, the new coach they just hired?
Yeah, from Butler.
Yeah, already, man, I'm listening to ABC, Pharrell on the bench with his cancer throat, and also the Mouse. They're already trashing Rondo, and the guy is coming from an injury. He's a malcontent, and he's not going to listen to this college coach. They're trying to set the groundwork to get his black ass out of Boston.
Well, think
already.
about it. Well, hold on now. Let's hold on. Let's freeze that moment right there. Because when's the last time you saw Rajon Rondo smile? I know when it was. But when's the last time y'all seen Rajon Rondo smile?
Really?
When they won that title. Yep. How many years ago did the Celtics win that title?
About 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And Rajon Rondo hasn't smiled since. And when he's on TV and when they do interview him, he ain't looking to smile. He ain't looking to be all grinning up in somebody's ass, which is why they say, he has an attitude problem. But I want to digress to something else that was brought up in this atmosphere of the NFL, worrying about the character of the players who come in and work for them. They, in this spin kill, they try to throw out how, some of these players and their backgrounds and all, it just brings a tear to your eye. And they brought up, Reggie, your boy, Des Bryant. And they talked about how Des Bryant had one of the worst backgrounds and profiles ever heard. And, now they're trying to wax all sympathetic. Well, where was the sympathy when the motherfucker Jeff Ireland from the Miami Dolphins was calling or was asking him, was his mama a hoe?
Thank you.
Where was the sympathy where other GMs were asking guys if they like girls because they wanted to find out if they was on the down low? Bullshit.
Yeah.
So now they bring Des Bryant out because Des hasn't done anything in a little while. And, you know how these Negroes are. They're just like children. We need to mollycoddle them and whatnot. And,
But we ain't gonna make them owners. We're not gonna make them coaches and certain professions.
That's right.
We're not gonna make them hierarchy in the NFL and have corporate jobs. I mean, I know Gene Washington is there, and I know he dates Dr. Condoleezza Rice. But my whole thing is, damn it, when I see the overall look at corporate America and all these sports, I ain't seen too many of us up there, all females.
Well,
it ain't happening.
It's one of the things I do, guys, on my show, Old School Sports. I do a segment that's gotten a tremendous amount of response from not only the school system, which we work out of, but my viewers, because it's opened up a can of worms. It's opened up enlighten people on what's going on. With the 6 years I did in the NFL in the front office, I know exactly where we're coming from. I think the best example I could give was when I was with my vice president, and who gave me a lot of freedom. And he said he had something. Obviously, my area in Jersey was Newark. Hint, hint. Yep. Which I didn't mind. And was out of mind because I said, what you think of it is not going to be what you're going to get out of it. I did a lot of things besides selling corporate sponsorships and corporate seating and corporate entertainment. There were times I went to city council meetings just to show up, just to get myself involved. But let me say this. He wanted me to go talk to some kids along with a player. I forgot what school in Newark. When I got there, I thought, I was going to, see some, talk to a couple of kids. It was a whole gym of kids with basketballs, the whole 9 yards, and going, what am I here for? They want me to talk about basketball. I said, well, the player didn't show up, so I had to talk about basketball. I didn't mind, but, that's fine. Now, a few weeks later, the same VP who couldn't make it along with the player, then we go to Newark, went up to a place called Hasbrook Heights in a suburban area in about 2 miles above our office in East Rutherford. So we went up there to go to another basketball camp. But when we got up there, we didn't go to a basketball camp. What we did, we went to the high school and went to a conference room. Yes. And in this conference room, there was about 12 people going, I thought we had to talk about basketball. Oh, no. What this was about, they had a meeting, this class, it was a class about basketball on how to build a team. They had about 12 to 14 kids whose whole night, whose whole process ability to be there on how a team runs, with vice president who orders what, how a team runs. So these kids are getting a whole different perspective on basketball. So you see, my point is, when they want us to come down to the Hoodski, we're going to talk about players, and you can be a ball player too, and you can't play. But they go to the suburbs, is about how to build a team. So there you go. That whole process is ongoing when you get to the front offices of teams. There are people I know in the front offices of teams that are major players in teams who can't chew and spit gum at the same time, but they're involved in the aspect of running the business of sports. And what my show has done, concentrating on sports careers, to get our young people to think about, well, yes, you can participate in sports, play sports, high school, get lucky playing college, but think about when your career is over, who says you can't stay in sports? Who says you can't? It's good to be a coach, but why not be an accountant? Why not be a salesperson? Why not be a trainer? Why not be a designer? All these fields are in sports our kids know nothing about besides playing ball. And in the words of the great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, when he said, you have a better chance of becoming a brain surgeon than an NBA player.
There you go.
Yeah.
They couldn't have said it better.
And see, Mike, that's what really upsets me, because, again, we got so many of our young kids that have been sold this pipe dream, AAU, that only thing you can do is play ball. And once your time is up, you have two choices: go back home and be humiliated, just like Tuskegee Airmen. I can't go back home and be humiliated and ruin my family name. Or the next choice is to go out there and commit a crime. I mean, I give, what's his name, Smith, Ohio State, that's a doctor now.
Yeah,
Robert Smith.
Robert Smith.
Yeah.
Well, remember, Robert Smith caught hell because he wanted to go to class. Remember that. That should have been. Now, this is where the media would have worked perfectly in his advantage. If he had been 10 years advanced and word came out that he wanted to be a doctor in this media firestorm, under that microscope, the Ohio State, your school, Patrick, would have had to back the fuck up and think about this before approaching Smith on this. Because remember, we had Myron Rolle, defensive back, Florida State University, Rhodes Scholar. Now, they talk this bullshit about education all the time. Here's Myron Rolle, a Rhodes Scholar, and still has the ability to play at the highest level. What was the draft book on Rolle? Wasn't anything about he didn't have bad hips or that he couldn't cover or that he wasn't strong against the run. We're afraid that he may not take orders because he's too smart. This nigga won't take orders because he's too smart and he has other. We're laughing, but that's exactly how they broke it down.
Yeah.
He don't give a fuck about what
he got cut last year.
I'm laughing to keep from crying.
That's right. Yeah.
He got cut last year for one team at the end of the season. I'm going, are you kidding me? Now at this point, somebody should have been taking him to the side to look. If you want to play, fine. Let's come and work in our organization. Let's you want to be now. Here's the classic case. One of the pieces that I did with the New York Giants, I did a piece on the Vice President of Medical Services with the New York Giants, Ronnie Barnes. Now, you've seen Ronnie Barnes all the time. He's the first guy that goes out in the field when the player gets hurt. They call it, now, we know him as a trainer, but he's a Vice President of Medical Services. One of the most powerful black men in the NFL. You wouldn't know it unless you talk to him. Okay?
Yeah. Wow.
Now, everybody sees this guy, but no one even did the story until I did the story on him. Now, he talked about how the field is open. First of all, he was the first black trainer 25 years ago in the league. There's like 9 others now. But he talked about what he had to go through. But what we're saying is a guy like Myron Rolle and his ability, I'm quite sure if Ronnie Barnes had a chance, he said, Ronnie, well, you can come work with us. Now he wants to be orthopedic surgeon.
Neurosurgeon.
Neurosurgeon. I mean, that's what teams would do. Now they did that for John Frank, who went to Ohio State. When John Frank was a tight end with the 49ers, he won a Super Bowl. He got tired of playing. They helped him through med school, and the 49ers brought him back to do some work with them. I mean, come on, they can do that for Byron Rolle.
Yeah. Yep. It reminds me of the scene in Blazing Saddles when Sheriff Bob says, "I got a plan," and they're like, "Fuck you," and he'd say, "You do it for Randolph Scott," and they all got a heart on Randolph Scott. All right, Sheriff, what you got? And really, when you see a Rhodes Scholar get treated like a nigga, and we got to say it exactly like it is, that's exactly that's the crux of the problem right there. Other Seminole players should have said, well, damn, if they do that to Myron, man, how they look at me? You know they gonna do it to me. Exactly.
And besides that, Mike, we ain't going to class anyway.
There you go. And here's a footnote. To the whole Myron Rolle thing. In the last draft, there was a quarterback who was lauded for his scholarly approach to the game, and they made a point of talking about he was a scholar. He was all NCAA, all scholastic, blah, 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 blah. Well, all that's good, but, that's like saying I got a king and, me being a Rhodes Scholar, that's a motherfucking ace. That trumps everything that you would say. So a black man who's a Rhodes Scholar is treated just like Des Bryant when Jeff Ireland asked him if his mama was a hoe. This is important. This is not so much about color as it is just overall respect. They're not. They figure you're here for the money, so fuck it. We're going to pay you the money, but that don't mean we have to respect you. So when Des Bryant gets asked if his mama is a hoe, he should be grateful Ireland, who said it, should be grateful that Des Bryant didn't climb over that fucking desk to beat the shit out of his monkey ass. You know, when they talk about Adam Jones and the fact that he made it rain, you know, they didn't say anything about Matt Jones when he was acting like Scarface in a car, caught with fucking cocaine, where he was ready to snort his way to happiness and never did a day in fucking jail.
Thank you.
These are things that people need to understand. The athletes need to understand them so that they know just what they're dealing with. If their agents aren't telling them that, fire their asses. And even
but Mike,
though
I hear you, Mike, but Patrick, again, I got to get to you again.
Please.
We hear this, but look, guys, when it comes to the mouse, again, I'm not saying anything positive about them, high school. Now, look, we got high school football players walking around like they think that they're in the NFL. With the hats. It's one guy get a hat, throw it on the ground, another guy flip in the air, then all of a sudden he does some crazy dance and put another hat on top of his head. And I'm like, Negro, please. I mean, you got to be kidding me. So, Patrick, help me out. When now they start to invade the high school, what does that say?
Let me tell you something. I covered some of the top high school games in the state of New Jersey. Also during the year, I do again high school, college, and NFL, and I do some of the marquee games in high school. And I must say, there are some guys who share the same opinion that you do and I do, talking to some of these players. That I use the saying that I give my interns. You guys to be interns to me, you got to be 3 years before you, then I have to go through interview to work with me. And I said, you guys have acquired some skills to be semi-professional, but let me inform you of something. You about to go to college in 9 months. You ain't seen your competition yet. So that applies to these kids, guys in high school talking about, I'm the man. Oh, really? Wait till you go to college and see a guy who's just as good as you are, and he's a white boy from Iowa who will outwork you, just as athletic as you are, and will go to class and do whatever the coach tells you, and you're in there dancing, okay? You have not seen your competition yet. And the thing I told guys, and I still tell them today, who go to college, who think they think they sweet in the butter. If you don't do what they tell you and perform at the level that you have to, here's what I told them when I was at Ohio State to this day. Next nigga.
That's right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next
Thank
nigga.
Assembly line. Bring the next one in.
Let there be no mistake about that. I'm sorry,
and that's something I constantly tell a lot of young high school players who think. I said, boy, please, you good from around here. But
Thank you.
You ain't been around some boy from Mississippi who got one pair of sneakers who hungry, and all you gotta do is take his head off. You be headless. So keep things in perspective.
Yeah. Hey, Patrick, real quick, tell them about how in practice they will literally break your ass up because they want that position.
Thank you very much.
They will break you up.
You ain't gotta say that shit. That's right. Tear your ass up. But I want to throw Gary back in the pot on this and whatnot because, we know how they reacted to your piece, and it was no surprise because they've done it before. But the bottom line here is that we do not have independent voices. I mean, we have our voice. We know the work Patrick does. We know the work other shows are doing, but they're in the minority. And it is a mental load to know that every time you turn on the TV, you're going to see something that's going to piss you the fuck off because it's the mouse doing the shit that they're doing, and in part because they're listening to our shit. And we're not saying this because we think we're full of it. We know. We've seen it. We've seen their text shit that they do change almost overnight because of stuff that's said on this show and others. So, go ahead, G.
We have to keep the Jones Radio, Erico, WCFM. We got to keep pounding the pavement and telling people this is what's happening. This is why it's happening. What they said about Serena Williams, Sloane Stevens, and Holly was inexcusable this week.
That's right.
So, we had to tell people this is what they said, and this is why they said it.
It's real talk.
Mike, you know, you mentioned something before. I think that's going to be interesting to see how it works. It might run through it might be the same old, or something of interest might be of intrigue in terms of how stories are being told. I told you, we talked this afternoon. I said my credentials for the Jets now game by game again this year.
Yes.
I don't have my full credentials, but I got to go game by game. And one of the reasons I said that is because some of the seating that would be accommodated for smaller stations are going to be eaten up by NBC's 24-hour TV network.
Yes.
And now Fox TV network is coming in also. So that's probably about 6 to 8 seats that will go to smaller networks that they're going to allot for the major networks. Well, what's going to happen, I think, is there's going to be, talking about the mouse is going to be chased by the Fox and the Peacock in terms of information.
You know, last I heard,
Adam McKeenum.
I believe that these three networks, along with the NFL network, which is at all the games, along with other local stations, are going to be vying for information, and we're going to see how some of these stories are being told and see if we can get past what I call the ghetto story. Every time I talk about a black athlete, well, he's wrong. His mom was shot. Give me a freaking break. We have heard that story already. Let's talk about something else. We know situations can be rough for certain people, but what have they done? What is the real story here? Is he from the ghetto, or what the person has accomplished, or what he can do, or can we find something positive that can inspire and enlighten people rather than always saying, well, he come from the ghetto.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's
we know that. What else is new?
That's right, and we're not just talking about football, because let's be real here. David Robinson built a school in San Antonio for kids.
Nobody talks about it.
Nobody said a fucking thing about it. ESPN had a chance to talk about it for years, and say fuck all about it. Serena does it, and Serena as well. Allen Iverson, for all the shit they want to say about Allen Iverson has been putting out scholarship money for kids every year. He was in the National Basketball Association and has one every fucking year. Terrell Owens was taking care of homeless people in Buffalo. 81 families. This was confirmed by our colleague, Pat Freeman, up in Buffalo. Did ESPN talk about that, or did they talk about Terrell Owens being a fucking diva and trying to stop him from getting work in the National Football? This is true. This ain't shit we're making up. This is factual shit. And they said not a fucking thing about it. Not one fucking thing. That just shows you how full of shit the mainstream media is.
But here's my thing, Mike. When you reach out to these guys and try to give them an average to talk, they don't want to come on your show and do it.
Oh, well, some of them won't. Some of them won't. Because some of them will say, well, how many listeners y'all got? You know, or they'll say, that's the other half of the bullshit. It's like, if you have to ask that question, then you already know you ain't in no position to come on my show, because I will lay your ass out. If you're stupid enough to ask a question like that, instead of appreciating the source, forget it.
Thank you.
I've had several NFL players on this show.
I have known some players who've done some things, particularly when I worked in the NFL. I mean the NBA front office. I know players who did some stuff that was really nice, and they did not want to know. And the big reason they didn't want to know, they want folks, your cousins calling about when to get stuff.
They want Pookie hitting them up for a couple $1,000. I understand all of that.
You know, and I ain't mad at them because I be doing the same thing.
But if they're trying to establish that, you know, we've got good citizens here, you can't look no further than what Philly did to Donovan McNabb. Donovan did good works for Philly his whole time here. And these redneck motherfuckers had the nerve to dog him out because they didn't like what he said about black quarterbacks doing more, what he had to deal with in Philly, all that shit. They couldn't stand it. It just worked their last nerve, and it just pissed them to no end.
Yeah, well, I have more to come. Before I sign off, I'll be getting back with you on the New American Football Conference, which includes Rutgers. The press conference is in a couple of weeks. I think it's in 2 weeks, they told me. I found out today. got the date, I'll give you some information on that. And as you know, we'll be doing a piece with the Giants every week since they'll be in not too far from here, from where our station's located. I ain't going to Cortland to see the Jets. You can forget that, particularly if they didn't give me my full season credentials.
I know that's right.
I'll go up there I'll go when they come back for one day to camp and do that. But I'll keep abreast of what's going on, guys.
All right, well, look, before you go, Patrick, since we're at final thought stages, I want everybody to understand, if you're going to wave a flag tomorrow, first of all, let's respect the people who kick ass for us and put their lives on the line for us. Look at that flag. Look at that flag, and at least make sure that the fucking flag was made here. The last thing I want to see is a fucking American flag flying that says made in China. Fuck that shit, you know?
That one you can burn.
You can at least do that. If you're going to pretend to be, Mr. Patriot, then at least make sure the fucking flag was made here. Now, having said that, let's roll and get the final thoughts. Patrick, I really appreciate that you spent so much time here sharing stuff with us and throwing in some good stuff for the pot. So your final thought and your shameless plug, if you have one, sir.
Well, the final thought, I want to piggyback on what you said about, I'm not big on, outward patriotism. I think people who talk about patriotism, who want to wave the flag, but do you respect the people in the country? If you don't respect the people in the country, forget waving the damn flag. I don't want to hear it. I just send out well wishes to the guys and women who are over in places that we don't even know about, that have to deal away from their families. That's who I respect this particular day for them. And
Ashe.
That's it for me, guys. I'll sign off. I'll get back with you soon.
All right, brother. Thank you so much, Patrick Farrar, everybody from JCE TV, doing good work. Nice to have him come by and serve up some entrees, food for thought for us tonight. Cowboy,
yes,
your last thought and a shameless plug, sir.
Well, again, I'm so happy and proud to be a part of this show. Shout out to my man Big G, because I keep trying to tell people and over again, there's a reason why when Dr. Nasty and my man Big G get together, you guys bring fear to these clowns, because Gary, already you've seen your story where the mouse is already squeaked like the rat that they are, was throwing cheese out there trying to appease LeBron. And like I said, when Dr. Nancy hit them left and right, what do? They stand there and cower in the corner. But then again, there's Negroes out there that will stand there and come to Paul Dean's rescue and say, oh, she's not a bad person. But yet, if we, on this story today, make any anti-Semitic or any homophobic comment, this place will be shut down. And again, it's a book by Dr. Claude Anderson. And Mike, I give a plug for your book. I started out there. But anyway, Dr. Claude Anderson,
thank you.
Black Labor and White Wealth by Dr. Claude Anderson. And it's called Meritorious Manumission, which started in Virginia back in 1800, where, again, if a black person did what he did to save a white person, be it their land or either their life, they are rewarded. So it's really sad that Paula Dean is getting all this support from Negroes. But then again, these same Negroes, if they say they're anti-Semitic or a homophobic, like Halle Berry did one time, told a Jewish joke, and next thing she was on TV begging for forgiveness.
Yeah,
I'm saying,
I remember
again,
that.
A lot of us serve our masters well. Sports Talk every Saturday, and again, you're going to have Dr. Nash and Big G in a month and a couple of weeks hosting Sports Talk, ladies and gentlemen. So y'all get your computers ready, because these two are going to go prime time. And all I got to say is, oh, my God. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, give them the that's www.WCLM Online, Sports Talk, every Saturday, 12 noon to 1 p.m. Mr. Biggs,
yes, sir.
Throw something in the pot for your shameless plug and give me a final thought as well.
We are going to celebrate the birth of our nation, or birth of our country. Yet, we are attacking females all over the country. We are attacking black men all over the country. And yet, we celebrate. And why sit down and say, what are we celebrating? What are we really doing in America? That is what you need to answer tomorrow. That's what you need to answer.
Yeah. No.
My shameless plug. This week, we will be talking about the Trayvon Martin case. The pros and cons of Trayvon Martin case. Guest speaker, Kathleen Wells from KCALA 1080. Will be on my show at 1:35 p.m. Pacific time.
All right.
You can come in and call and ask her questions about the Trayvon Martin case. She is a lawyer from Cal Berkeley.
Good job, G. Good job.
Sounds good, G. So, the Great Leopard Cove, that's this Saturday, 1 p.m. West Coast, 4 p.m. after we're done here at the Tree. Kathleen Wells will be taking questions for Big G, and we will have more intimate details of what went down and reaction to certain things regarding that case. Now, for my final thought tonight, I think it best that we remind folks, we always talk about how the black media doesn't stand up and do some of the things that it needs to do. I'm going to remind folks of something that happened a while back, and it's going to be a little lengthy, so please bear with me. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because I first saw this in in Ebony magazine when I was a teenager. When I read this stuff out, and I'll let you know when I'm done, but when I read it out, you'll understand. If black people feel like somebody is after them, or that they want their elimination, or that they're implied as being inferior, there's fucking reasons for that shit. So what I'm going to do now, here is your bedtime story, for lack of a better words of putting it. Tonight's reading will be entitled The Tuskegee Syphilis Experiment.
Whoa.
Quote, the United States government did something that was wrong. Deeply, profoundly, morally wrong. It was an outrage to our commitment to integrity and equality for all our citizens. Clearly racist. That's a quote from President Clinton's apology for the Tuskegee Syphilis experiment to the 8 remaining survivors on May 16th of 1997. For 40 years, between 1932 and 1972, the U.S. Public Health Service conducted an experiment on 399 black men in the late stages of syphilis. These men, for the most part illiterate sharecroppers from one of the poorest counties in Alabama, were never told what disease they were suffering from or of its seriousness. Informed that they were being treated for bad blood, their doctors had no intention of curing them of syphilis at all. The data for the experiment was to be collected from autopsies of the men. I repeat, from autopsies of the men. And they were thus deliberately left to degenerate under the ravages of tertiary syphilis, which can include tumors, heart disease, paralysis, blindness, insanity, and death. As I see it, one of the doctors involved explained, we have no further interest in these patients until they die. The true nature of the experiment had to be kept from the subjects to ensure their cooperation. The sharecroppers' grossly disadvantaged lot in life made them easy to manipulate. Pleased at the prospect of free medical care, almost none of them had ever seen a doctor before, these unsophisticated and trusting men became the pawns in what James Jones, author of the excellent history on the subject Bad Blood, identified as the longest non-therapeutic experiment on human beings in medical history. The study was meant to discover how syphilis affected blacks, not human beings, not white men, to discover how syphilis affected blacks as opposed to whites. The theory being that whites experienced more neurological complications from syphilis, whereas blacks were more susceptible to cardiovascular damage. How this knowledge would have changed clinical syphilis or treatment of is uncertain. Although the PHS touted the study as one of great scientific merit, from the outset its actual benefits were hazy. It took almost 40 years before someone involved in the study took a hard and honest look at the results, reporting that nothing learned will prevent, find, or cure a single case of infectious syphilis or bring us closer to our basic mission of controlling venereal disease in the United States. When the experiment was brought to the attention of the media in 1972, news anchor Harry Reasoner described it as an experiment that, quote, used human beings as laboratory animals in a long and inefficient study of how long it takes syphilis to kill someone. By the end of the experiment, 28 of the men had died directly of syphilis. 100 were dead of related complications. 40 of their wives had been infected, and 19 of their children had been born with congenital syphilis. How have these men been induced to endure a fatal disease in the name of science? To persuade the community to support the experiment, one of the original doctors admitted it, quote, was necessary to carry on this study under the guise of a demonstration and provide treatment. At first, the men were prescribed the syphilis remedies of the day, meaning bismuth, neospermamine, and mercury, but in such small amounts that only 3% showed any improvement. These token doses of medicine were good public relations and did not interfere with the true aims of the study. Eventually, all syphilis treatment was replaced with pink medicine, aspirin, to ensure that the men would show up for a painful and potentially dangerous spinal tap. The PHS doctors misled them with a letter full of promotional hype. Last chance for special free treatment. The fact that autopsies would eventually be required was also concealed. As the doctor later explained, if the colored population becomes aware that accepting free hospital care means a post-mortem, every darky will leave Macon County, close quote. Even the Surgeon General of the United States participated in enticing the men to remain in the experiment, sending them certificates of appreciation after 25 years in the study. It takes little imagination to ascribe racist attitudes to the white government officials who ran the experiment, but what can one make of the numerous African Americans who collaborated with them? The experiment's name comes from the Tuskegee Institute, the black university founded by Booker T. Washington. Its affiliated hospital, lent the PHS its medical facilities for the study, and other predominantly black institutions, as well as local black doctors, also participated. A black nurse, Eunice Rivers, was a central figure in the experiment for most of its 40 years. The promise of recognition by a prestigious government agency may have obscured the troubling aspects of the study for some. A Tuskegee doctor, for example, praised, quote, the educational advantages offered our interns and nurses, as well as the added standing it will give the hospital, close quote. You motherfucker. Nurse Rivers explained her role as one of passive obedience. Quote, we were taught that we never diagnosed. This is a nurse now. We were taught that we never diagnosed, we never prescribed, we followed the doctor's instructions, close quote. It is clear that the men in the experiment trusted her and that she sincerely cared about their well-being, but her unquestioning submission to authority eclipsed her moral judgment. They're being nice. Even after the experiment was exposed to public scrutiny, she genuinely felt nothing ethical had been amiss. One of the most chilling aspects of the experiment was how zealously the PHS kept these men from receiving treatment. When several nationwide campaigns to eradicate venereal disease came to Macon County, the men were prevented from participating. Even when penicillin was discovered in the 1940s, the first real cure for syphilis, now remember, the experiment started in 1932, so 8 years later. In the 1940s, when penicillin was discovered, the Tuskegee men were deliberately denied the medication. During World War II, 250 of the men registered for the draft and were consequently ordered to get treatment for syphilis, only to have the PHS exempt them. Pleased at their success, the PHS representative announced, "So far, we are keeping the known positive patients from getting treatment." Close quote. The experiment continued in spite of the Henderson Act in 1943, which was a public health law requiring testing and treatment for venereal disease, and in spite of the World Health Organization's Declaration of Helsinki in 1964, under UN head Dag Hammarskjöld, if I remember right. It specified that informed consent was needed for experiment involving human beings. The story finally broke in the Washington Star on July 25, 1972, in an article by Jean Heller of the Associated Press. Her source was Peter Buxton, a former PHS venereal disease interviewer and one of the few whistleblowers over the years. The PHS, however, remained unrepentant, claiming the men had been volunteers and were always happy to see the doctors, and an Alabama state health officer who had been involved claims somebody is trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. Under the glare of publicity, the government ended their experiment and for the first time provided the men with effective medical treatment for syphilis. Fred Gray, a lawyer who had previously defended Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King, filed a class action suit that provided a $10 million out-of-court settlement for the men and their families. Big fucking deal. Gray, however, named only whites and white organizations in the suit, portraying Tuskegee as a black and white case when it was in fact more complex than that. Black doctors and institutions had been involved from beginning to end. The PHS did not accept the media's comparison of Tuskegee with the appalling experiments performed by Nazi doctors on their Jewish victims during World War II. Yet, in addition to the medical and racist parallels, the PHS offered the same morally bankrupt defense offered at the Nuremberg trials. They claimed they were just carrying out orders, mere cogs in the wheel of the PHS bureaucracy, exempt from personal responsibility. The study's other justification for the greater good of science is equally fucking spurious. Scientific protocol had been shoddy from the start. Since the men had in fact received some medication for syphilis in the beginning of the study, however inadequate, it thereby corrupted the outcome of a study of untreated syphilis. In 1990, a survey found that 10% of African Americans believed the U.S. government created AIDS as a plot to exterminate blacks, and another 20% could not rule out the possibility that this might be true. I'll speak on that and say, if you really want to decide for yourself, pick up the book Emerging Viruses, AIDS, and Ebola, and see for yourself. Google it. It won't cost you anything to Google, and I trust you. I've read the book twice. They're telling you the truth. As preposterous and paranoid as this may sound, at one time the Tuskegee experiment must have seemed equally far-fetched. Who could imagine that the government, all the way up to the Surgeon General of the United States, deliberately allowing a group of its citizens to die from a terrible disease for the sake of an ill-conceived experiment? In light of this and many other shameful episodes in our history, African Americans' widespread mistrust of the government and white society in general should not be a surprise to anyone. All of these quotations are from Bad Blood, the Tuskegee Syphilis Experiment, written by James H. Jones. And you can find the book, well, obviously, if you Google the book, again, it is Bad Blood, the Tuskegee Syphilis Experiment by James H. Jones. The other book that I just spoke on regarding the AIDS conspiracy is Emerging Viruses, AIDS and Ebola. The gentleman Horowitz is a true hero in my humble opinion because he laid out, he saw the paper trail and he puts it in the book. This isn't conspiracy. This ain't some made-up shit. This is not some what if. It's real. I read it. Follow everything in it. It will tell you and answer the question for you. I further punctuate this by saying the following. When I came to the Philadelphia Tribune, my editor, Michael Bruton, wanted a story that he thought would be important for black people in the community. I said, I got one. And I referred to this book. I did research. I contacted the World Health Organization. I contacted the CDC. I contacted Doctors Without Borders. I even got an opinion of a nurse, or rather a doctor, who worked for Cooper Health, who went on record with an explanation as to whether she thought the AIDS virus was something deliberately created to exterminate black people and people of color. All of that. And the executive editor turned it down. They were afraid, straight up, because it wasn't that the sources weren't proved. It wasn't that I hadn't all my I's dotted and T's crossed. They were afraid that people were going to be handed a dose of truth, and they felt that their advertisers might flex on them in a more disparaging way. Well, we're being disparaged and flexed on right now. Where the fuck is the Philadelphia Tribune? Where the fuck is BT? Where the fuck is TV One? Where the fuck is the black press? We can say all we want about the mainstream press, but it was the black press that helped bring this shit out to stop this madness. Where's the black press to take care of this and at least make a viable voice and offer a forum in which people can be exposed to information that they can do with what they will? Y'all think about that when that fucking flag is waving, because it ain't about of the people, by the people, or for the people if the people don't get up off their ass and make sure that they understand why that flag flies in the first fucking place. Happy Independence Day. The kitchen's closed.